So, David, Tomato Sports here, you cover a whole range of different activity. Tell us, what do you do here?
Well, Tomato Motorsports is a collective of clubs that represents pretty much anything to do with motorsport that isn't a four-wheel drive. When we were developing the concept for this park, we worked out that there was synergies between some groups and other groups really were not that compatible, and so the slower type of four-wheel drives, they were allocated their own area, and Tomato Motorsport was allocated this area here, which is a fantastic 360 hectare block, which is exclusively and dedicated to all kinds of motorsport, everything from remote control cars to jet sprinting, rally cars, off-road racing. There's plans here for drag racing and a speedway oval. So pretty much anything you can think of that's to do with fast cars, we're going to do it here at Tomato Motorsport.
Okay, so how has the TECT all-terrain park how's it working for you?
Now it's really working very, very well. We first got involved in it in about the year 2000 when the idea was just a dream, and since then we've been working with councils and with park management, council staff, and obviously the clubs that are interested in participating here. We've got 7 member clubs at the moment, and now that the place is actually starting to be used, it's the realisation of a dream. It's just a fantastic place to come and spend a weekend. Most weekends there's something happening up here, whether it's a working bee or whether it's an event. There's usually something going on up here most weekends.
Now, what are your future plans?
Well, right now we're working on the sort of master plan. We're working with Opus International Consultants on the design and feasibility study of an international drag strip, which is actually going to be located just over here to our right. And that's kind of an underpinning development for the park because it's 1 kilometre long, 200 metres wide, and so wherever that goes pretty much decides where everything else goes. Plans for a burnout pad and a drift facility as part of that development. And then hot on the heels of that will be rallycross, which we don't really have in New Zealand at the moment because there's no actual rallycross facility. Used to be one years and years ago in Hamilton, Mystery Creek. But the next thing is to build a rallycross track here, which is really like stadium rallying. The way of the world these days is you need spectators and you need to have your sport accessible to the public, and that's the whole idea behind rallycross. It's kind of rallycross in rallying in one place. So that's the next plan. After that there'll be a speedway oval, and integrated with all of those developments is the whole concept about driver training and involving young people and youth. This car park that we're standing on right now, we use that for driver training, for motorcarners and autocrossers, which is really for youth skill development. And it gets used 4, 5, 6 times a year, just for those sorts of things. So it's great to be able to have a place that we can come and do that, because honestly to try and do it in town now is next to impossible. You just cannot find a place where someone will let you go and even teach young people how to drive. So it's fantastic. Fantastic
to hear, really, because there's a lot of youth out there that just really need a place to go.
Absolutely, and we recognised that 10 years ago. The so-called boy racer problem, it's not new or unique. It's been in existence for as long as there have been motor cars. There's been young people, doing skids in them, for want of a better word. And as our population base has increased, there really isn't anywhere for them to go. They just get forced out of town onto those country roads, and they get in trouble with the locals. So here we are, we've got a place for them to come and play and learn to actually partake in the sport properly, safely, and add value to the community and the whole project.
So the Bay of Plenty Clay Target Club, what's it all about?
Well, clay target shooting in New Zealand is an up and growing sport. It's in all centres of the country, and one of the things that we sponsor and help out are the schoolboys. And this is part of the reason why we joined with two clubs together. The Tauranga and the Mount clubs have joined together, and we've formed this big complex. So we've formed the Bay of Plenty Clay Target. So we've had a lot of work to do here. As you can see, the weather has been really bad. When it rains, the earth moving machinery can't work. Today is the first day that we've been able to lay the lanes here, and we had about a dozen volunteers up here today helping out with that, which is really marvellous. And then we have to do this basically 10 times along here, which makes it half a kilometre long, and we've got fencing along this side here, and we have to fence the whole lot, which is 1.5 more kilometres of fencing that you can't even see. That is to stop people from coming in.
How valuable is that going to be to the club?
Oh, look, it just means that instead of shifting all the time, every time you shift it costs you a lot of money. So it is important that it is really magic, that we've got this facility here to grow. And we know that the money we're spending, probably $500,000 to get it up and running, we know that it's not going to be wasted.
How much land have you got, and what are your plans?
The area we've got here is 500 metres square, which is half kilometre square. I'm not too sure what that is in hectares. And we've got the same amount, which will take us up to international standard then. This was the vision of the park right at the beginning. Not to think of the club, to think of the international.
And once you have got international standards, what does that mean? What will that enable you to do?
To hold international shoots. It is our intention to try and get the North Island shoots, and you have to be up and running before you can actually apply for these. It does take quite a bit of time. You've got to have all the grounds certified and safety and things like that, and everything has got to be perfect. So once we've got that, then we can apply for, say, North Island or provincial, and then North Island, then national, and then after that international, which will take a few years. But we're not for us, it's for the future people, and our grandchildren and things like that will really appreciate. They won't even appreciate what's happened, but they'll say, gee, we've got a lovely ground here.